Okay, so first of all, public speaking is like my worst fear, so I just want to put that out there. I'm being brave today. I tell my daughter all the time to put on her brave face, so this is my turn. My name is Jen, and I come from a home where quite often something is set on fire, launched through the air, or turned into a fruit murdering device. If you don't believe me, I'm going to show you what I mean.
There we go. Good job.
That's my husband and my daughter, and this is my life. As you can see, my husband hates fruit. I hate vegetables. We make a great pair. We started this adventure in March of 2011. He created this giant mechanical puppet hand that was actually functional. He put rings on his fingers, and he'd make his fingers move, and they would close. And we went to our first steampunk convention, and it was so popular that when he came home, he put a little clip of it on YouTube and shared it just for fun. Shortly after that, he got an email from a carpenter in South Africa who had lost all of his fingers on his dominant hand in a woodworking accident. He had been trying to create his own prosthetic finger to replace at least one of them so he could get back to work, but he found that even one finger in South Africa would cost him $10,000. Ivan agreed, of course, he agreed. And Richard sent him a mold of his hand. And for the next year, they worked through email and Skype, over 10,000 miles through different time zones to start putting together prototypes that could possibly help Richard. During the process of research, he found a prosthetic hand that was carved from whalebone in 1845 by an Australian dentist for a man named Corporal Coles, who had lost his fingers in a cannon accident. It worked much like the giant mechanical hand he had created before, with cables and pulleys. So he drew from this as his inspiration. Because they lived so far apart and they couldn't pass the prototypes back and forth, he needed to use common things that we could find around the house in both countries. So the first prototype you can see is made of paper towel tubes, PVC pipe, leather rivets, surgical tubing, things of that sort. Eventually, he confiscated the erector sets, and the children's play areas were no longer happy. By November, almost a year after he had originally been contacted, they had come up with a working prototype, and he was getting ready to fly over to South Africa. Somebody had donated frequent flyer miles so that he could go over and meet in person and fine-tune it. At that time, I had been broadcasting it all over the internet on Facebook, and I had started a blog, and this little guy, Liam, his mom contacted us and said, "Hey, I saw that you're making one finger. Would you mind making a full set of fingers for my son?" So, of course, my husband said yes. And he took the giant metal hand and shrunk it down to a tiny little size. And my daughter's hand was about the same size as Liam's, so she got to be the guinea pig and was constantly walking around with Sharpie markings and measurements all over her arm. Her kindergartner friends were quite confused. On Thanksgiving of 2012, Ivan flew to South Africa. He had literally 3 days. He flew for 30 hours each way, landed, had 30 hours, or 3 days. And in 1 day, it took them, I think, 18 hours to build one hand for Liam, and he got to help make his own hand. And it was ugly. We call it the Franken hand. It was metal, clunky, ugly, but he had 4 fingers for the first time in his life, and he was able to pick up an object with it. When Ivan returned home, he realized that Liam was going to outgrow this very quickly. He was 5 years old, and if you have children, you know how fast they outgrow shoes. So he started researching ways in which he could potentially make something easier to build. So he reached out to MakerBot, who had recently started coming out with some home-based printers. And he asked them if they would donate a printer, and luckily they donated 2. So Ivan taught himself how to code and design, and he would design the files and take the metal hand and turn it into a 3D printable file so that Richard could print it out and give it to Liam in South Africa, who would then tell him what it was that wasn't working so that they could improve it. At that point, they realized that if there was one child like Liam in the world, there were thousands. And instead of patenting the design that they had come up with, they decided that it was too big to keep for themselves. And they put it online, open source, public domain, so that anyone, anywhere could make one for anyone. Shortly after, MakerBot made a video and shared it on YouTube. And not long after that, a professor named John Scholl at RIT University saw the video and noticed that there were people who also had 3D printers who were leaving comments saying that they were willing to print hands for others. If anybody needed a hand, just contact them. So he asked them, if you have a 3D printer, put yourself on this map, and people who need a hand can find you. And so they did. They started a Google Plus group where all the people who wanted to volunteer could collaborate and ask questions and get help from each other. We started with approximately 150 people in 2013, and as of today, it is over 8,000 people worldwide who are collaborating and helping create these devices. In January of 2014, I decided it would be a really good idea to start a website and blog about this. The story was growing, it was spreading. We needed a place to put the files so that people could get them. And it went from a blog to a full-fledged website very quickly. Families and parents were contacting us constantly, begging for hands for their children. They would send measurements and photos and hand castings. Our volunteers would take their measurements and they would scale the parts accordingly, and then they would start printing them out. These designs are basic hands. They have just a basic grasping motion. They're nowhere near as robust as a traditional prosthetic, but for children who were born with no fingers and a palm, there was nothing available for them in the general prosthetic world. And these can be made for $30 to $50 versus $3,000 to $5,000 traditional prosthetics would cost their families. And they outgrow these every 6 months to a year. They use them for things that we often take for granted, being able to ride your bike and hold on with both hands, holding a cup and a sandwich at the same time, jumping rope, shooting your brother with a Nerf gun. The community grew so fast that we were able to put out a call for 100 hands to be printed, and within 72 hours, we had 95 hands created, and they were shipping them in from all over the world. They started resharing and collaborating and resharing, and the designs began to look more and more like real hands. Then they started getting creative. There were LED light fingertips. There are laser pointers to terrify the cat. Superhero hands, Star Wars hands. You name it, it's out there. The superhero hands are probably the most popular. These kids are often bullied at school. They walk around with their hands hidden in their shirts. They hide from people. They don't want people to see their hands. And now they're superheroes. They go to school and they're not the different kid anymore. They're the child who has the cool hand that everybody wants. And not only kids, but now grown adults are considering removing their own hands so they can have a cool superhero hand too, which I do not recommend at all. We started teaching families how to make them themselves because they're made out of plastic and kids are kids. They are going to break, but thankfully it only costs $10 to $15 in plastic to replace a part. We started seeing more and more kids making these hands for other kids as just fun projects they would do at home. They're designed in such a way that they pretty much snap together. And then we get to the schools. It's probably my favorite part. We have over 150 schools who are bringing this project into their classrooms for their STEM-based projects and their service learning projects. And now you have 30 to 40 kids in a classroom who are learning about this technology, creating a device for somebody else, and being inspired to think of other ways that they can use this technology to make a difference in other people's lives. You've got Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts by the hundreds assembling hands and shipping them off to clinics in Haiti and along the Syrian border, in Africa. These hands have now reached Uganda, where a little boy named Amos, who was attacked by a boar when he was very young, lost an arm and a leg. He now has an arm that he can help carry his books and play with his friends. This has grown quite a lot in Latin America, in Brazil and Colombia, Argentina and Paraguay. They have taken this idea and run with it, and they are finding that there are so many people that need these devices, and they're able to do it because the file is there, it's free. You can download it and print it wherever you are in the world. This little girl is from Ghana. She can now help her family with household chores. She has probably never even seen a TV in her village, but she has a prosthetic arm that was created on some futuristic technology that she will probably never even lay eyes on. In just 2 years, we went from one hand that was created for one child by two men to over 2,000 hands created around the world in 45 countries by hundreds of people who are donating their time and giving them away for free. The most beautiful thing about this project is not that there are kids getting hands that make them feel like superheroes. It's that People are coming together from all over the world, putting their political, religious, personal, cultural differences aside to create positive change in the world. Imagine a world where instead of using new technology to destroy each other, people took up the ideas of the Enable community and started using this technology to give each other a helping hand. That's who we are, and we are enabling the future. Thank you.
Yeah? Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Jen. I told you it was going to be inspirational. We have our CEO, Mark Verbruggen, would like to say a few words.
Jen, good to see you. Yeah, thanks, everybody. I remember we are now at ITR 5, and I believe it was at ITR 3, so about 4 years ago, that for the first time I actually heard what 3D printing was and what you could do with 3D printing. And last ITR, I think we actually had our first presentation on 3D printing and actually realized at that time that for the first time in the history of NatureWorks, actually here we had a product which had very little to do with low carbon footprint or good for the environment or things like that, that here was actually a product developed out of Ingeo, strictly driven for performance. And for us that was kind of new, because we were always so used of talking about good for the environment and good for... And here we are 2 years later, and it might not be great for the environment, but clearly it's great for human health. And it's fantastic to see that a development in so short a period of time can actually help so many people, ultimately in a very low-cost way. And as NatureWorks, we're truly impressed by that. And what we would like to do is donate 10,000 pounds of filament for the cause. Now, this is a global initiative, so we have to figure out how we're going to get that filament to the right people, but ultimately I'm sure we're going to be able to do that. But yeah, I can only applaud for what you have done. Again, you can start small and get big really quickly. So great work, and I'm glad we can support you. Thanks for everything.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Time for a few questions. We have some time for a few questions, but before that I want to say, you see, you did it.
I did it.
You were brave, and it was awesome. Thank you. Any questions?
Okay. So how do you see the future of Enabling Group? Like now you have this wonderful network of very talented designers and 3D printers.
Yes.
So are you expanding to other areas or other projects? So
we have kind of mastered the wrist-driven and the elbow-driven. We are still working to make it more lifelike. But we have communities in various universities who are working on myoelectric versions for people who do not have an elbow or a wrist, because the current designs we have require a wrist to bend or an elbow to bend to make the hands open or close. So I think our future in the next year or so is going to be to really focus on the myoelectric version.
Any other question?
Hi. It's really great that you can do it for arms. Are you going to work on doing it for legs as well, or feet? Or?
The 3D printers that are available for home are not large enough to make legs, and the material would need to be a stronger material, I believe, for bearing the weight of someone. So we have a group who has made a leg covering for a traditional prosthetic so that instead of just a basic pull from knee to foot, they can now have a shape, a more natural leg shape that they can strap around their traditional prosthetic so it doesn't look so obvious.
I think we have time maybe for one more question. No? So with that, please join me in thanking Jan again.